Starting a clothing brand sounds cool, right? You get a logo, you post some designs, sell a few tees. Sounds simple, right? Seems like an easy business you could get into. But what if I told you that most people don't even make it to their first drop? And then a good portion of those people that make it to that first drop don't ever make it past. Now, it's not because they're not talented or they don't necessarily know what to do, right? But it's because nobody tells them what it really takes to build something real. I'm gonna break it down for you step by step, no sugarcoating. What's going on, everybody? My name is Miller McCoy, CEO and founder of Limitless MFG, as well as several different clothing brands of myself. I've run a brand portfolio that does about $20 million annually on the e-com retail and touring space. And I've worked with over 2,000 brands, been featured in Forbes, been featured in Inc. 5000. My company's in best and brightest companies in Southern California, and lots more. In this video, I'm just gonna be doing a real talk breakdown, kind of having a heart-to-heart with everybody of the ins and outs and what it really takes to build, a clothing brand and build something that has longevity. Right? The first thing we're going to go over is brand versus merch, because they're two different things, and we need to make sure that we understand what the differences are, right? So the first decision you have to make is, are you building a brand or are you selling merch, right? Merch is quick, it's reactive, you drop something and you hope people buy it, but a brand is built. It has values, it tells a story, it's got an identity, a strategy, and you're thinking for the long term. Merch is really good if you've already generated yourself an audience and you just want to capitalize quickly on the views or the people that are there if it's an in-person event thing. But a brand is something that can live beyond that. A brand is something that you don't have to be familiar with. Say I had a brand, right? You don't have to be familiar with Miller, me, to be able to go purchase this brand. But merch, you're likely going to need to know who I am to want to support it. Does that make sense? If you don't think, if you don't know the difference, this is where you should start, right? Because everything else depends on the foundation of what you're branding, or of what you're building. So in this one, we're going to be talking mainly about the brand side, and maybe in the future, I'll build something that's going over more of the merchy side. But most people that are probably watching this don't already have a large audience, don't already have a large following. And, they want to get into this space, or they want to at least educate themselves about this space. So this is kind of where we're going to get started with things. The second thing I'm going to go over is the money side. And this is important because, look, there's lots of people out here telling you you can start a brand with no money and all this sort of stuff. And they're inherently not wrong, right? You can. You absolutely can start a brand with a couple $100, make a sample, take a photo of that sample, and technically speaking, I guess you have a brand, right? But it's deeper than that. It's more than that. There's some logistics and there's some things that most people don't know what they're getting themselves into. And in fact, you can't start a brand and you can't start selling product with absolutely $0, right? You need to have a website built, which Shopify charges a monthly fee and costs some money to build that. You're going to need to get some sort of something that you can sell, whether it's stickers, super low barrier of entry, to jackets and coats and shoes, which are high barrier of entries. It just in general, I need you to be aware is it's likely going to cost you more than you think. Not just financially, but also mentally, with your time, stress, and the risk, right? Now there's several good ways you can get started in your brand with lower barrier of entries. For an example, the company I run, we've got an intro package that's $17.50, gets you 100 tees, all this sort of stuff. It's great, whatever, right? But that's gonna be kind of a good starting point. If you're not ready to just kind of risk $1,000 to $2,500 on a real launch, you're not really playing in the same game, just transparently. So that's something you should be aware of. You should have, the 1,000 side I think is quite low, especially if it's going to be your first thing ever. If it's your first thing ever, it's going to cost you a little bit more because there's going to be the growing pains that come with it. If you don't already do photo and know how to edit video and all this sort of stuff, you're likely going to need to go get one of those. And you can ask a lot of your buddies. If you're in kind of a space like this, you can ask some of your buddies to come take photos for you and edit this stuff for you and whatnot, right? But if you don't have buddies like that and you don't know other people like that, you're probably going to have to pay somebody, right? So if you're not ready to spend $1,000 to $2,500, and I would lean more towards that $2,000 range, or split me in the middle there, right? You're not going to be playing in the same game here, right? The cost of quality blanks, the cost of samples, the cost of design, the cost of website, the cost of content, it all adds up. But cutting corners will kill your brand faster than anything else. When you're building a brand, remember, you want to build something for longevity. So you want to come out of the gates strong. You want to come out of the gates correct. You want to come out of the gates ready to rock and roll, basically. There shouldn't be a... As your brand grows and as your brand develops, yes, of course, you're going to face new challenges. You're going to invest more money. You're going to change things, right? But when you come out of the gate, you should have a strong foundation. You should have a solid website that's able to last you time and time again. You should have a solid domain that you're not having to change every couple of years or whatever, right? Like the brand should inherently be able to be founded and started with a low level of cost. $1,000 to $2,500 it's one of the cheaper businesses you can start on your own and just jump into something. The next thing I want to touch on is speed kills. And if you saw my last video, I had almost an inverse point on this. And so I want to be careful with how I say this, right? Everybody wants to launch fast, but launching fast with no plan is just a waste and a burn of money. So when I say speed kills, it's kind of a double-edged sword. If you've got a brand new product idea, if you've got a great brand idea and everything like that, you want to be able to launch fast in a way, but you also want to make sure that you're launching successfully and you have a launch plan that is going to be able to support your brand and support your growth, right? This sort of industry rewards speed, but it also rewards being able to plan for longevity. That's the only way you're going to win in this industry. Now, yes, there's a lot of people out there that are able to do a quick drop, make a few $1,000s, get in and get out, right? But that only lasts for so long. That only lasts because they're following and hitting a trend. That doesn't last because there's no substance there, right? Most of our clients that come to Limitless, they come to us after they've tried to do a, DIY this whole thing. And they've done a few DIY launches that have just flopped or failed, right? There's no customer service. There's no strategic fulfillment plan. They're using bad mock-ups. They don't know how to make proper tech packs. They're doing bad design. All of those sort of things. There's no email strategy. There's no real marketing plan. All of those things, you want to make sure that you have these planned out. You have them well thought out, right? If you're doing all this sort of stuff beforehand and you don't have the actual plans in place, you don't have the actual sort of scalable approach to it, right? You're not really building a brand. You're just hoping for a quick cash grab. And that's okay. If that's your thing, that's okay. All power to you. If you're able to succeed doing that, that's amazing, right? But if you're wanting something that has real substance, something that has enterprise and equitable value, then building a brand for longevity is the route you want to go. Most people that win, they slow down, they plan properly, and they build a clean backend first before they launch out of the gate. I've worked with countless people throughout the years that, they'll have us come in and be like, yo, just clean up my website. And there's so many flaws on both the front end and the back end of the website that it's practically like I have to start from scratch, right? Or our web team just has to start from scratch because it's just like, I want it to look like this. I did the front facing, I just don't know how to do the back end. The two are tied together most of the time. Most of the time when we develop a website, we handle the back end first, and then we focus on the front facing side. Does that make sense? Are you without a plan, without a successful roadmap ahead of you, without making sure that all your T's are crossed and your I's are dotted, You're setting yourself up for failure or setting yourself up for just a quick, simple cash grab that's not going to be something that's building longevity, that's not going to be something that has real equitable value, which at the end of the day, that's what's going to make you the most money in this branding space, is having something that has the actual equitable value. The next thing that I want to touch on, and I harped on this a little bit in the last video, is design isn't enough and it will never be enough. You can have the best designs in the world and still fail. If your brand doesn't have structure, a product pipeline, pricing strategy, inventory control, the design doesn't matter. That's the last step, right? That's the last step. Everything else, it's like putting the cart in front of the horse, right? The last thing that really matters is the actual design. What matters first is making sure that everything can run smooth, making sure that everybody is aware, you have a marketing plan before you have a design plan. Now, sure, maybe you might contradict that and say, well, I need to have the product first before I can market it. Yeah, correct. But it doesn't need to be the most beautiful, pretty thing ever. You can always innovate design, right? And you can always innovate marketing plans and stuff like that too. But if you have a stronger marketing plan and you have a crappy design versus somebody that has a really cool design but no marketing plan or a shitty marketing plan, you're gonna go 10 steps further because people are actually going to be able to see your product. If nobody sees your product, they can't buy your product. You can't convince me otherwise, right? You can't convince anybody otherwise. If nobody knows about you, if nobody sees your thing, if nobody knows what it is, nobody's going to consume it. Doesn't matter how great it looks. Doesn't matter, how amazing it looks on the body or what it does to the, what it can do if you're selling a cream, right? What it can do to my face or my skin or whatever it is, right? We've worked with brands that have had average designs, but they execute like pros and they win. And we've had the exact opposite. We've had people with the most insane designs, things that we see and we're like, oh my gosh, we're so excited to work with this. We're super excited to develop this. We're super excited to make this. But then they flop. They can't even sell 20, 30 pieces. Right? So it's like, you can't put the cart in front of the horse. You can't just be creative. You have to be an operator too, or you at least have to partner with one. If you're the creative and you don't know how to actually operate a business, run a brand, and care about and focus about the back end, you need to partner with somebody that actually knows what they're doing and how to do that. Right? So like some things that you're actually going to need. And this is a pretty good kind of starting ground. And in fact, I'll make a free kind of spreadsheet sort of digital download product and put that in the description that you guys can just go and get, right? But here's what you actually need to be able to build a brand to scale. One is a real budget, right? Coming out of the gate, and as you evolve, you're gonna need a real budget, right? So it's, how much are you going to allocate towards your website? How much are you going to allocate towards samples? How much are you going to allocate towards your photo shoot? What about your email marketing? What about your SMS marketing? How are you going to get people to subscribe to your email list and to your SMS list, right? All of these things matter and they're important. The next thing that I want to go on is a plan. You're going to need to have a structured marketing, product, timeline plan. What is the growth plan? What does phase 1 of this look like? What does phase 2 of this look like, right? How long is it going to take me to get my product to me? Okay, and then, so I'm being told it's gonna take me a month to get me all my stuff. Well, I should probably schedule my photo shoot out for 6 weeks, right? And then I should probably schedule my marketing to begin on that 7th week. And then from there, I should probably schedule my release to happen on the 8th week. And then what's my post rollout, right? All of these sort of stuff. So you need to make a real plan and a real course of action for how you're going to release and come out of the gate and start your actual brand. A plan, you have to have a plan, you have to work the plan, and that's it. Well, I guess the first step is you have to have a dream, then you have to make a plan, then you have to work the plan. And if you do those three things time and time and time again, and you delay the gratification again and again and again, and you never give up and you never quit and you keep working the plan, that's how you're gonna find success. At some point, the success, if you put them on like a X and a Y axis grid, right? At some point, as you continue to work the plan, the dream's gonna catch the plan. The third thing is a clear offer. What are you selling and why, right? So now, are you selling a t-shirt? Great. But why should people care about your t-shirt? What's the messaging behind the t-shirt? What do I get if I wear this t-shirt? Do I get an awesome fitting athletic t-shirt that's really good for running or really good for working out or whatever? Or is it just another streetwear tee? What's the story behind that streetwear tee? Who else is wearing that streetwear tee? How can I make it a part of my wardrobe? Why should I make it a part of my wardrobe? Why should I wear this? Why should I buy this as opposed to all the other 10,000 streetwear tees that are releasing every other day? You know, so you have to know your offer and know it strategically, and then be able to place that offer into the right consumers, so that way they can make the educated decision to go purchase your tee over the competitors or over the next. And then the next thing you're gonna need is your back-end handling, right? Your vendor list. Who's handling your merchandising, your manufacturing and your production? Who's handling your fulfillment? Who's handling your web? Who's handling your marketing? Is it you? If it is you, great, all power to you, but you should know how to do all these things at somewhat of a high level. YouTube University, baby, here we are, right? You can learn all of these things through here, at least at a basic level, and have a good concept and understanding. And as your brand scales, maybe you find the things that you do really well and the things that you don't do really well, and the things that you like versus the things that you don't like, and you start trading out your money for your time. So that way, if you don't like doing the email marketing, don't do the email marketing, right? Go find an expert, go find somebody that's better than you at the email marketing, and trade them your money, so that way you can free up your time. And so on and so forth. Now, this isn't going to happen overnight, right? You might be doing your email marketing and you might hate your email marketing for a year, for 2 years, for 3 years, until you finally get to the point where you can get that off your plate, wipe your hands clean. And that goes into the next thing, the willingness to stick with it beyond that first drop. As I said when I first started this video, most people don't even make it to their first drop, and then a huge portion of those people that do that first drop don't ever make it past. So it's the willingness to continue to try, to continue to give it your all, to continue to just do it again, do it again, do it again, do it again. Delay the level of gratification. The longer you can go on your time horizon without actually feeling the gratification, without actually thinking, oh, I made it, I did it, great, right? The more success is inevitable at that point. If you're missing any of these things, don't launch yet. You have to build your foundation first. And if you are trying to come out of the gate before you have any of these things, comment below. Tell me how it went, right? I wish nothing but the best success for you, but from my experience in this industry over the last 10 years, I haven't seen anybody be able to build a longevity-based brand without having these things in place. So, as I was saying earlier, you know, I run Limitless. We do a branding portfolio that does about $20 million as a portfolio here in the brand space. And we've helped over 2,000 different brands in our about 5 years of running Limitless. Most of them came to us after they've learned any of these lessons that I just went through here. If you want help to do it the right way, we offer everything from beginner packages to full service launches, and even profit splits for select few people. But whether you work with us or not, just shoot your shot, right? Give it a try. You know, this space is rewarding to those that stick with it. This space is an amazing space if you're able to find something that works for you. That's all that matters at the end of the day. So build it like it's meant to last, and I wish you all nothing but success and nothing but love. And go ahead and like, comment, subscribe, share this video with other brand friends or owners or anything like that. And I hope to hear and see from you all soon.